Hello, this is Micah Bridges. This is my first episode of the Lead Pass podcast. I'm glad to be doing this. Just some introduction. I'm a former college athlete at Missouri Baptist University. And with that, there's something that I wanted to speak about today, which is the state of college athletics today. I want to start this off. I want to acknowledge my former teammate at Bishop McNamara High School, Terrence Butler, who played at Drexel, who passed away recently. I want to offer my condolences to his family, to anyone who was his teammate, his friend. Terrence was a great person, a very kind soul, and he will definitely be missed. But that brings me to the topic of mental health and how the current system of college athletics is it's not conducive to the athlete. What do I mean by that? Growing up, you're playing a sport. At first, it's enjoyable. It's just something you like to do. Then when you reach a certain age, you decide, you probably had this conversation with your parents, your coaches. Usually happens around the ages of like 10 to 13, where you figure out this sport that I'm playing, do I want to take it seriously? From that point forward, as you get to higher levels of said sport, it starts to become more of a job. You start taking more seriously. There are more things that come with it. You have to make lifestyle changes, diet changes. A lot of changes have to be made in order to excel in the game that you're playing. Especially when you get to the college level. At that point, for a lot of people, it becomes less something that you're doing just because you enjoy it, and it becomes more of a job at that point. Especially in higher levels of college, any level of college. Playing sport, it's a job. It's almost a full-time job. You rarely have time to do anything else but go to class, go to study hall, go to practice. That's it. The college experience for the athlete compared to the regular student, while they all come with their own issues and sets of challenges, they're way different. It's way different for the athlete. Usually there are a lot more things that you have to do, and you never really have time to enjoy the other things that come with being a young adult. Because honestly, when you come into college, you're still a kid. Like, you haven't reached that stage where it's like, okay, it's real life now. You're getting there, but you still haven't reached that point yet. But once you reach the world of college athletics, it's a completely different world. Every single person who's on a college team right now was probably the best player, if not the best player, the second best player on their high school team. And there weren't a lot of people that they played in their high school career that were better than they were. But when you get to that point in college, everyone's on the same level, on a similar level. And there's a lot much more work that goes into it. Now, from the coach's perspective, during the recruiting process, coaches will tell you all of these nice nothings, and they will deliver you all of these promises just to try to get you to coming to the school, right? When you get to the school, it's completely different because more than likely the promises that they made to you are the same promises they made to five other people. Honestly, every other person on the roster that's on scholarship. And so you realize that a lot of times, unless you are the guy on your college team, the best player, the main guy, which usually, in most cases, is established pretty much right away. If you're not that guy, then on some level you're expendable. Because coaches, a vast majority of coaches, not saying all coaches, but a vast majority of coaches, they don't necessarily have loyalty to any particular player. They have loyalty to whoever is going to help them win games. Why? Because coaches want to keep their job. And coaches are going to put whoever on the court, on the field, whoever they think is going to help them win games and keep their job. And inevitably, some kids that they made promises to coming in get pushed by the wayside. It happens. It happens a lot. And so the system, college athletics, it's not particularly catered towards the athletes. There's so much money that's in college athletics. College athletics, it's no longer just something that you enjoy. It's a business at that point. There's money to be made. And decisions are made that are going to help a program win and make money. So the promises that they made to you in your recruiting process, it doesn't matter to them anymore. And it's really unfair. Particularly, I notice this happens a lot. When a player gets injured in college, you're working to get into the rotation, you're starting to play a little bit better, starting to have a little bit more role, you get injured, right? The next year, most of the time, the coaches are bringing somebody in that plays your position and is most likely going to be taking your spot. It happens to a lot of people. I've seen it happen to so many people. And I've seen in multiple cases where one injury, an ACL tear, meniscus tear, a serious injury, has completely derailed someone's college career. And that isn't even necessarily because they weren't able to get back into top form again. It has nothing to do with their ability to recover and perform again. It's just a matter of, in the amount of time it takes you to get back into top form, the coach has already moved on. He already has other plans. He has another person who's likely going to take your spot. And a lot of times, unless you're the guy or you were already one of the guys before you got hurt, there's no role for you. It's almost to the point where like your services to that team, to the program, are no longer needed. I've seen it happen. One of my good friends, I'm not going to say his name for obvious reasons, but tore his ACL middle of the season, right? Had to sit out about a year So by the time he got back, it was about the middle of conference play the next year. So he's practicing, he's playing well, he's getting a little bit of time in game, but not a lot. He's barely in the rotation. He plays here and there. And granted, this kid's on scholarship. This kid was one of the main guys that they had brought in and had high expectations for him. But because he got hurt and didn't show the potential immediately that they had expected from him. So, fast forward. The end of that season comes. Again, he's playing here and there. He's not really in the rotation. Coach gets fired. New coach comes in, has a meeting with him. Basically tells him that he's not in his plans and he's not going to play. So in so many words, he was saying, basically telling him to leave. And even if he did stay, he'd just be on the roster. He wouldn't even get on the floor at all. One injury. One freak accident that he had no control over completely derailed whatever good standing he had within that team, within that coach, with the school. It's almost as if he basically lost his value to them after he got hurt. That's the business of college athletics. If you get hurt, or if you're not performing to the level that they're expecting from you immediately, they're bringing somebody else in, and he or she is going to take your spot. Coaches have certain goals that they want to meet by any means necessary so they can keep their job. And usually the ones that are it's at the expense of, it's the athletes. I can't tell you the amount of athletes that I've seen who've had their athletic careers completely changed and sometimes ended on a random Tuesday after a meeting with a coach. It happens a lot more often than you think it does. You see now, with the Pac-12 about to not be a thing anymore, you see all this money goes around with schools, and coaches are going from place to place. They can do whatever they want, but again, the people that this is done at the expense of are the athletes. Like, all this money goes around to coaches, to schools, but yet the only issue that people will speak about is the NIL. It's all people have an issue with. People have an issue with the athletes making money after basically a full-time job. That what they do on the court, on the field, basically what they do brings in the money for these programs. But yet, at this particular juncture, it doesn't seem like the athletes have that much power. You never have, if we're being completely honest about it. But I just wanted to bring attention to the fact that the current system, college athletics, it ruins young men and women. I understand that, okay, the system is not fair. Some people counter it and say life's not fair. Workers have unions. They're able to address what grievances they have. Athletes are not able to do that. College athletes cannot do that. Their expectation is to play. Nothing else. They don't have the power for it. They're not given the power for anything else. But the system it doesn't care about the mental or physical standing of young men and women. Unfortunately, because of the system, the expectations, and everything that goes with it, there are a lot of college athletes that have unfortunately taken their own lives because of the pressure, because of everything that goes on, and how difficult that is to handle. Everyone handles things differently, and sometimes that can be it's difficult to handle for anybody, but it is harder for some people than others. Imagine working for the majority of your life to reach this goal, to reach a certain point. And then when you get to that point, you realize this isn't what I thought it was. That is a lot for an 18-year-old, for a 19-year-old. It is a lot. I just think that it's really unfortunate that there isn't really much dialogue or conversation about this. College athletes are expected to play their part in this business that has little regard for them as people. I just think it's unfortunate that nobody talks about it. My goal, I would say, is I just want athletes to be given a opportunity to speak on their experiences and be able to address the issues that come with being in the system. And I just pray that as time goes on, that athletes will start to be able to realize that the issues that they're having, they don't have to keep it to themselves, that they can speak to people about it. That it's okay to not have issues with the situation. It's okay to have issues with it. You understand that that being a college athlete is work. Everyone's aware that it's work. Everyone's aware. But sometimes the work comes it comes at a price that kids are not willing to pay. What do I mean by that? There are a number of coaches that can get away with the way that they treat young people. Old people that can get away with mistreating young people. I've heard countless stories about when an athlete goes to their coach and tells them that they're entering the transfer portal. The derogatory and borderline hateful things that I've heard. People just act like this is okay. People act like this is normal. Like, okay, like your coach just disrespects you as an individual after all the work that they spent trying to get you to come to their school. And when you make a decision that you think benefits you, they have an issue with it. and they go back on everything, every good thing they ever told you, every nice nothing they ever told you. Even in practice. I'm not gonna throw out names here, but in a practice, there was one kid on the team. This isn't in my school. This isn't at Missouri Baptist, but I've seen that somewhere else. A kid on the team, a Nigerian kid, he spoke decent English, but obviously he had a thick accent. He messed up a play in practice. The coach yells at him and says, "Can we get somebody on the court that speaks English?" As a 45-year-old man, I don't understand what makes you think that you can treat an 18-year-old like this. I understand coaching somebody hard. I think every athlete ever that has played at any significant level has been coached hard. But that's a situation where the coach just wants you to be better. When the coach reaches a point where he disrespects you as an individual, that's an issue. But a lot of the time, the athletes are expected to just suck it up and keep going. It happens. It happens to everybody. It's just tough coaching. Nah, it's disrespect. But I just wanted to bring attention to the fact that a lot of athletes everywhere are in situations that do not benefit them in any way, shape, or form. And they are basically cogs in a machine. They're expendable pieces of an organization. And they're a part of a system that just has no regard for them, for their abilities, and for them as people. But that's all I wanted to say for today. Thank you for watching the Lead Pass podcast. This is my first time doing this. Hopefully, I'll be able to do this again. But thank you all for watching.